Most people don't fail in sales because they are bad at talking. They fail because a lot of them are terrified of silence. They just rush to speak, to justify, to pitch, to win. But in the process, they lose. Because honestly, the best closers are not the fast talkers, they are deep listeners. And the irony here is the more you try to sell, the less they want to buy. You've probably been told by like a lot of gurus to pitch, to handle objections, to create urgency. But what if urgency is not something you create? What if it's already there, buried under the noise, and your only job is to uncover it? That's what I learned when I closed a 5 lakhs deal in just 40 minutes. No pitch, no fancy funnel, no tricks, just one clear shift that I stopped trying to sell and I started diagnosing. So I wasn't always good at sales. In fact, early on, I sucked like anything. So I thought the louder I spoke, the more persuasive I was. I thought saying more would convince people faster. So I pitched hard, showed testimonials, made guarantees. I legit said that, hey, let me know what you think. Take your time. I'll follow up. You know what I got back in return? Nothing. Until one day I lost a deal I had been chasing for weeks. It crushed me from the inside. But in that particular moment, I had a realization. I mean, if they said no after hearing everything I have, maybe I was saying too much. So I simply flipped it. The next day, I got on a new call. I said less, listened more, and within 40 minutes, I collected 5 lakhs on the call itself. That's when I knew closing is not about pressure, it's about precision. So here's the first mistake most sales reps make. They start selling in the first 10 minutes. It's like doctor giving you antibiotics before checking your vitals. Would you trust them? Nah, exactly. Right. Selling without diagnosis is not just lazy, it's selfish. You're not helping, you're projecting. I used to think sales was about transferring excitement, or knowledge. But you know what transfers better than excitement? Truth. The truth only shows up when the prospect feels safe enough to say it. That day, I did something different. Instead of pitching, I said, walk me through what's going on. And then I shut up. What happened next was magic. They talked. I took notes, not just on what they said, but how they said it. Because tonality tells the real story. And that's when I realized their words build urgency better than mine ever could. Because when someone speaks their truth, they no longer need to be sold. They just need a solution. And that's when your pitch becomes easy because you're not selling, you're prescribing as a doctor. And the irony here is when you stop trying to sell, they start trying to buy. So I've seen a lot of times that most reps avoid pain. They think it's too much, that it will scare people away. But the truth here is, most people don't move because they understand. They actually move because they are uncomfortable. Imagine your house is on fire. You don't need a course on fire safety. You need to feel the heat. That's what pain does in a sales conversation. It makes the fire real. So I ask questions like, how long has it been going on for? How's that impacted your business specifically? How's that impacted you personally? How much has that costed you, like lost revenue that you could have easily achieved if you had the right system dialed in? And then I paused and let silence do the talking, because silence is where pain gets loud. You can literally feel the weight build on the call, the shift from casual interest to personal necessity. And that's when you know you're close. So here's a line I always remember, my mentor taught me this one thing, until the problem feels personal, the solution won't feel urgent. And urgency is something that's going to help you close a lot of deals. Now, next thing where a lot of, salespeople go wrong is when they finally uncover the problem, they know what the problem is, the pain is clear, and then they say, oh, our program has 8 modules, 3 bonuses, and if you join today, just shut up. The moment you start talking like a brochure, you lose them. Instead, I ask, other than ask, did you try reaching out to anyone else for help? If they say yes, I follow up with, okay, cool. How was your experience? What worked? What didn't? What was missing? Because of which you're probably looking for a better solution. And what do you feel you actually need to get results? And you know what happens next? They start building your pitch for you. They reveal the gaps, the disappointments, the things that didn't work for them. And all I do is mirror them back. I say, just based on what you just told me, we are the only option that actually fills that gap by explaining how we do it. No hard sell, just logic grounded in their own words. So it's not about showing your features. It's about making the alternative feel unacceptable, because when they feel that, saying yes feels like the obvious move. Next is, like this is probably one of the most overlooked part of sales, that is control. And no, I don't mean domination. You don't have to be the alpha on a sales call. I mean direction, you know. So early in my career, I used to treat sales calls like tennis matches. I would wait, react, respond until I realized prospect don't want to lead. They want to be led, especially when they're in pain, especially when they're confused. So I started taking call control from the start itself, right? I start with this particular frame. The way I take this call ahead is I'm just going to ask you a bunch of questions just to work out how we can help. If I can't, I'll let you know and do my best to point you in the right direction. And if you feel that, hey, this game plan makes sense, then we can probably talk more about the next step. That's it. Calm, assertive, in control. And from that point on, they leaned in. And every step of the way, guided them through their past, their problems, their pain. All roads pointed to one particular thing, that is change. Because if you don't lead the call, it becomes a therapy session, not a buying decision. And the goal of the call is not to talk, it's to decide. So don't be a coach or a therapist on a sales call, just be the closer. So if you want to close fast, stop pitching right now. Start guiding. If you want to close big, stop selling. Start listening. Because the truth is, sales is not about making people say yes. It's about helping them realize that they cannot keep saying no. The best closes, but the best sales don't actually feel like win. They feel like relief. You you did it right when they say, hey, you know what, this makes sense, where do I pay? That's the real close. Not hype, not pressure, just clarity. And clarity only happens when the call is designed to remove confusion, one layer at a time, until saying yes feels like the only move that you have on a call. So if your sales calls are dragging, if your follow-ups are endless, if your great conversations keep going nowhere, it's not your offer, it's not your market, it's how you're running the call. So I documented everything I did to close that 5 lakh deal in 40 minutes, word by word, frame by frame, the exact structure I follow on every call. I'm just giving it away for absolutely free. Just comment doc below. I'll send you an entire breakdown, because at the end of the day, they won't remember how nice you were. They'll remember if you won. And winning starts when you stop playing the wrong game. That's it for this particular call. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you next one.